I think like one thing that might be good to talk about is like how we're having those conversations that we expected to have much sooner than we expected to have them. I don't know about you. Like I've just come off the phone with my friend who he's been pushed to our version of politics by Keir Starmer. He was such a consummate liberal before, and now he's like definitely not.
Okay, so starting to recording, not to. I'm not giving you any more than I've already given. This is the most that I've got. So how are you then?
Oh yeah. Like that's me.
Yeah.
Um, I've been better in my life. It's the whole, overwhelming terror of fascism is it's pretty heavy. Pretty heavy, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of big things and a lot of little things happening at the same time at the moment. Like, I'm stressed about trying to figure out how to fill in the soil properly in part of my back garden because I've put a border in that's really wonky. And I'm worried about my rock tumbler snapping around the elastic. But I'm also worried that maybe we only have a couple of years left on this earth at most. And that doesn't even feel like I'm being like pessimistic anymore.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, like before we came on here, I saw a video of someone being like, Sabrina Carpenter isn't very feminist. And I was like, I'm interested. And then the next video was like people being beaten by American police. And I was like, huh. That was two different worlds, and it's you know a weird old time to be alive, isn't it?
It's a really confusing time. I feel like I'm getting kind of I don't know if it's like it's not like disassociating, but I'm definitely having like clashes in my brain constantly. I don't know if it is cognitive dissonance because I don't know anything about what that actually is, but it feels like there's this constant little tap at the back of my head when I'm trying to do like the normal things that we need to do. But I also feel like we're privileged to have had that not be happening as much. I think it has been happening since about I think when I found out about climate change when I was like 11, and I was like, "Oh fuck, this is a problem." And then it's basically just got bigger and bigger, but the knock at the door now is starting to get really kind of comprehensive. But I keep trying to remind myself that this is something that, yeah, I'm very lucky that until this point it hasn't been as loud, but it doesn't really make it any less scary.
It doesn't, and I think the big thing is as well. I think our generation was quite well prepped for it. Like the media that we consumed in like the late 90s was all about this kind of thing. Like I think it was 1997, Final Fantasy VII came out, one of the biggest selling video games of all time, and it was literally like welcome to this world where there's an allegory for climate change. Look how bad it is if you wreck the environment by using machinery instead of looking after the environment. So all of us were growing up like, oh, I'll just put this crisp packet in the bin, otherwise the world might end. And then we've got like the previous generation, like, the oil, I want to eat chicken. And then the next generation are like, oh, we don't care, everything's screwed. And I'm just like, but I care.
I didn't. I knew it would happen, but I wasn't ready. Yeah, we were taught that we were going to be like, as long as you like work hard, have fun, be yourself. And then I don't know what, like the housing market crashed, and it's all been downhill from there.
I think it's like, the thing is, I do this thing all the
Was it
time where I'm
bothered when it
like,
crashed? I didn't
yes,
even care when it crashed. Like I didn't know. Whatever. I thought maybe the housing market crashed would make the houses cheaper, but it never does. It never did.
I just do. I just like, whenever I'm telling people about my life, I'm always like, yeah, it's been a really rough sort of, 3, 4, 7, 12, 27 years. It's been a really rough 30 years, really, really rough 35 years of life, and people are like, oh, you're just being dramatic. And I'm like, it all started with 9/11, and then yeah, everything just kept fucking going crazy. Fucking Harambe went in there, and fucking the Brexit just sprinkled on top. It is.
9/11, Harambe. Don't know what to say.
Isn't it the perfect signifier though as well? The two things that happened in America have so fucked the entire world.
Yeah, I think the Harambe thing was definitely one of the worst. I think it was a sign of things to come with Harambe, but it's weird as well because we are both neurodivergent, confirmed as well. Well, not confirmed, diagnosed now. Whoop whoop. And it does sort of feel a little bit like at the minute I'm in that sort of I'm out of order, this whole courtroom's out of order thing, where I don't know how much of the issues that I'm like the overthinking that I'm doing, how much of it is overthinking, because I really actually feel like maybe there's a lot of underthinking that's happening. I think I'm probably thinking the right amount, but the right amount of thinking to be doing about everything that's happening right now is actually unmanageable for the human brain.
My thing is like every morning I wake up and I check the news and it very quickly it goes from like, oh well, that's quite the to do, isn't it? Oh, what a predicament on page 3. And it all builds up, and by the time I'm actually like out of bed and doing things, my brain's just like quietly screaming at me. There's no way to make sense of all of the horrible things that I'm seeing all at once. And I think that's kind of how a lot of people are feeling.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep myself. I've tried to unsubscribe from all of the news like notifications because Google News keeps trying to peddle like the Telegraph headlines at me, and I think I've managed to get rid of them. But I've done something recently. I think it might have been to do with the moon thing, pointing at the moon. I think it might have been to do with me looking at the moon information. I might have accepted cookies or something. So now I'm getting these like, and then every now and again I'll get something to do with like Keir Starmer. So, like, I checked my phone earlier when I was on the loo, and it was like NASA have discovered unknown space anomaly thought to potential that could bring about the end of human life, and I was like, "Fuck off!"
Yeah, and then this is about Keir Starmer, is it?
No, it was just this. It was
Mr. Speaker.
I can't, and they keep using the same image as well. They keep using the same thumbnail image. I need to get it off my phone because every time I go to the toilet, I'm incredibly stressed incredibly quickly. But I don't think that's even, I actually think at this point, again, those things have equated in my head. So I'll see something about like fucking Kemi Badenoch having said something, and I'm like, yeah, there's a massive space anomaly that could end us all any minute. And I can't do my garden border properly because of my own ineptitude. So
Oh, I thought it might be because of the space anomaly.
I wish.
Pretty good excuse.
I'd love that. I'd love to be
Yeah.
able to see the space anomaly. It'll
That's
probably
the only reason you garden, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
keep a keen
You'll
eye
be
on the
like,
sky.
you'll be like staring at your fence, like, I don't know, just behind it is this giant glowing cosmic ray coming closer and closer. You're like, it's a bit bright out here, isn't it?
That's why my border's fucked up. Because I'm putting it
Because of
in,
the space
I'm
anomaly.
digging, and I'm going like, I'm like wistfully checking, just in case the space station's coming over. I'm putting the border, I'm checking up, and that's why everything's wonky.
I was going to say, you just know that on the space station, they're like, ground control, she's still digging the border. It hasn't changed at all.
If they waved at me, that would also change my life. I'd let that space anomaly take me.
And all for the cheap price of an astronaut
I
wave.
swear to God, because I'm waving at them. I don't know how good their cameras are. Probably not very good. Probably not good enough to see me waving, but I'm waving every time. So if they're looking out for people who are like frequent observers, I'm out in the garden pretty much every day
Oh, I know.
looking out. I don't know. But
I've got my
that,
mini garden.
do you looking longingly at yours?
Yeah, I'm looking at my 4 plants all lined up like the good little kids they are.
Do you have to move them over to? Do you have enough sunlight for them? All on the window? Are they all on the one window? Because I used to have to take mine outside.
I do sometimes anyway, just to treat them, but they seem to get enough light there. So this is the thing. Like, I love looking after my plants. I'm like, yay, positive. Like, look at my little plants growing. And then sometimes I'm like, don't grow into this horrendous world. It's terrible. Your beautiful new leaf will be ruined by fascism.
It's a lot of responsibility to raise a plant, and if they ended up being like an incel or something, you'd feel horrible about it. What would you do? It's a lot of responsibility to bear. The snake plant.
The only thing to do with incels.
Okay, 9/11 incels space station. The International Space Station isn't actually flying over again until the 26th of June, so I've got a little bit of breathing room.
Let's not forget Harambe. Thank you very much.
Harambe. What should we talk about then? Should we talk about what the thing is? I think we've overdone it. We've jumped the shark.
I think we could talk about the thing. We can edit it.
Quick one to I don't know, to audience, to all 5 viewers, anyone who's watching this. The idea of this, the reason that we're going to call this "But This Is the Thing" is because myself and David talk a lot, and it may surprise you guys to know that we have quite a codependent relationship in terms of the amount of communication we have. And what we frequently find is talking about any issue that's happening at any time. There's always a thing. And a lot of our conversations, if we're not hearing something the other person said and immediately describing our own situation in which that thing has happened, we are starting the conversation with, but this is the thing. So the idea with this is that we want to talk about whatever the thing is that's on our mind each week, month, year. It might take us a year to get this recording working. I don't. It was optimistic of me to say a week. Mid frequently, we
mid frequently.
Don't expect it though.
We're gonna sneak up on you like a cosmic event.
We might just be there sometimes, and then sometimes we might not be, but we'll always have a thing to talk about. So that was the theory, just laying the creative process bare. We've also tried to record this once in person. It looked like a hostage situation. It's absolutely horrifying. And we've also just spent about half an hour trying to figure out how to record it this time. And that might get better, but it also might not. Just as long as that, just keep that bar really low. But we're really happy to be sharing this with everyone.
It's honestly, we've thought about doing this for a really long time, and then we've thought about every other thing in the entire universe before we actually got to doing this.
Though. Loads of things that would have been really good to probably talk
Loads
about
of things. Here. Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? Bomb.
That's the thing. But so what's your so we were saying about the things. My thing is I'm still percolating on it at the minute, so I don't think we should talk about it. The only connection I made with it was to Sonic the Hedgehog, and I didn't think on it further, so I think I need to still percolate on my thing. So should we talk about your thing, which I think we've already started talking about?
So let's talk about my thing. I like to talk about my thing all the time. It's really terrible. Like it's I think the thing that we really want to talk about is just how fucking insane it is to like how crazy it is to try and stay sane right now, because everything's so mental. You're expected to get on with your normal life, you know. Today I saw a Reform UK councillor, I think she is, suggest that migrants should have numbers tattooed on them when they land in the UK, and I went straight from reading that article and going at my phone into a meeting where I had to listen to people being like, "Oh, small number, no good. Big number, very good." And me sat there like, so you know, that was it's not the best morning I've had.
But it's a common morning to have also.
Yeah, you know, I like to play this game called How Long Can I Wait Before I decide to read the news and then immediately become terrified of what I've read. And the fun thing is, I always lose even when I win.
Well, it's exactly, it's the same sort of feeling, that constant sort of dissonance with it. I think I told you I basically spent like half an hour the other day and not in a meeting actually. I'd had a meeting and then the meeting ended and I was just like sitting here and I realised it'd been like 20 minutes. I'd just been staring into space and what was my hand? My hand was just like this. I was just sitting there staring and panicking slowly. And I think it did prompt me for us to do this, and it's prompted me to pick up a bunch of other things because I got to that point where I was just realizing like, okay, this is it. Like I can't keep sitting down and feeling anxious about everything that's happening. Am I lagging? Oh, I really wanted to unpause the recording whilst you were doing a big yawn.
Evil.
And then immediately sabotage your episode 1.
Perfect. Great. Thanks. Yeah. Setting that bar real low for me.
Harambe is more important than 9/11. Do a really big yawn.
Do like that bit out of the Simpsons episode where they like cut Homer together, so it's like, I just wanted some of that sweet, sweet can. Ah.
But you know what the worst thing is I think I was the one that said that Harambe thing.
Oh, man, we
Unclipped.
both said Harambe. There you go.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Is I've had to jerk myself out of this feeling now because I can't keep doing it. I can't keep like there's this very fine line between validating how we're feeling and like feeling stuck in it and like ruminating. And because of the sheer volume of things that are happening at the minute, I get analysis paralysis when I'm like on my own in the house, but the sheer amount of kind of causes and massive news articles that are constantly coming out, it's really easy to just sort of go into a sense of like, this is just all shit and I don't know what to do with myself. And I'm now, after having claw hand day, I'm like, I actually just need to just carry on doing, I need to actually focus on the things that I am already doing and find some sort of satisfaction in them instead of just seeing them as super frustrating and not enough. And then also, if I'm going to keep talking about how I need to do something, I need to just start doing it.
It's an extra challenge for people who are like, is it? And I think when it comes to how we're feeling at the moment, it becomes almost like it's a permanent state of feeling shitty. So I'm doing like improv classes and I'm hanging out with mates who like improv and like I'm trying to do all these creative projects that I've been putting off. A huge part of that is literally have to disconnect from some of the stuff that I'm seeing and thinking about all the time just for a bit. Because if I just let it play around and around in my head, I become absolutely useless. And I think creating that space for yourself where have a bit of proximity, we all know that it's a privilege, and I'm not for a second going to deny that it is that, like it is a privilege, but it's a necessary one if you got it. I think anybody would want to take space from it. And so when you're doing these things, when you're recording these silly podcasts and acting like an idiot, or going out and doing improv and acting like an idiot, or I mean, look, I say what I see. It's what you're meant to do in improv. Or like or like I'm playing Breath of the Wild, which I'm years late on, but it's a thing to do. It's ironic because it's another beautiful kingdom that's been ruined by a scary dictator, but at least I can fight this one with a sword.
Oh, it'd be so
I
much
could do that here, but only once and very
Yeah.
briefly.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no swords. Well, there are swords, but you're just not allowed to use them.
Yeah, you're not allowed to use them as consistently as like Link is. Link's flinging that sword all over the place.
Right? He's just like fully, just all the time.
That'd be frowned upon by our media.
I think.
You went for it, and the police. Ugh, if you went for it now.
I mean, it's a safe assumption, yeah.
I'm not going to say anything further.
Yeah, we're obviously joking, and this is a theoretical event that might happen in Minecraft as a joke.
If I see Keir Starmer like a little plant, little incel plant,
Growing up like a weed.
I joked. I joked lyingly. That was a joke.
Unfortunately, there will be no further episodes of this podcast because they've been arrested.
But but you're right. You have to be able to. I think the way that, because I remember when we were talking about it, when we both sort of alternate between stages of burnout, because we've only got one brain cell, and we have to borrow it from time to time. And when one of us has it, the other one sort of withers. Not withers, but wouldn't say wither sounds rude, but falls apart.
It's much better.
Yeah, it's really easy to go into a state of like, I think it's important to essentially see yourself as like functional towards anything that you're trying to work for or anything you're trying to do, whether you're like in like organizing or protesting or educating or anything along any of the lines of getting involved in anything politically, even volunteering. You need to not when you're considering like the best path forward, you need to decenter yourself, not in the sense of I'm gonna basically martyr myself by running myself into the ground, but as in you're not functionally going to be useful if you're not, if you don't have the energy, if you don't have the capacity, and if you're going to end up having a complete meltdown when you try to do anything. So even if, like, yes, it's good to take your mind off of things in the sense that it will make you feel better, but that's, in my head, that's as important as it's the same thing as sort of beating yourself up for not consistently doom scrolling and being like, no, I have to do this, I have to keep doing things, because you are just functionally not going to be as helpful. So I'm trying to sort of also see it in that way, as like, what can I tangibly just be doing that is helpful, and like what's going to actually keep me going with it. You'd think that would lead me to live some sort of slightly healthier lifestyle perhaps at this stage, to allow myself to be more functional for the cause, but I am massively unhealthy.
But yeah, I do not care about that, and like I keep having this discussion. We had it today, didn't we? Like,
We both got like a
I don't
disgusting
need,
face. Like,
yeah, like, but because like I go to the gym, but like, you know, I can't get 8 hours sleep because I keep waking up like I've been ripped out of hell, and like food is delicious, and you know, if the thing that kills me is a big fucking donut, then you know, great, because it's not something terrible out there. So you know,
I guess he went doing what he loved.
shoving at the donut
That's
is
his donut, lying down.
genuinely, that's how they're gonna find me. Just like,
But I do think, I do think when you're being neurodivergent all the time and you're trying to spend all your time figuring out how to like mentally retain yourself, it's really hard to then also do like exercise. And I know like exercise is supposed to help, but like it's boring.
see, I don't like that, and that's why I
Like
like
your
it though.
next
Like
expression was, and I forgot.
I go to the gym, and the whole time I'm there, I'm like, oh, this awful funk music is very entertaining, and I've lifted this thing up 5 times, and I need to do 8. Oh, now I've put the thing down. Let's watch the clock go for a minute. And yeah, it's not interesting. But number one, you know, but number two,
Well,
it's
that very similar.
sure, but it's like
Just
that like time of just like focusing on immediately what's happening in the gym. It feels like a really warm shower at the end of the day, in that I'm like, right, I've had an hour of doing that. Now I can get back to doing other stuff. I know things are really bad when even in the gym I'm thinking about how terrible things are. I've literally been in the gym before, like doing bicep curls, being like, I must be strong so that I can hit people when they come for me. And it's like, that's when you're like, you're probably quite low down on the list of people they're going to come for. Let's just step back and start reprioritizing, because I think that's the big thing. When you really start to like worry all the time about the imminence of it, there's always people who are worse off, and you just need to like understand where you are in the hierarchy, and then understand how it is that you can help people who are lower down. That's that's really what I want to focus on. I want to have my little like breaks from insanity, but I also just want to like know that I'm doing things that help. And that's why, you know, posting content on the internet's great, but because I think a lot of people need the commiseration, but I think as well, like the way that I've seen it for a very long time now, ever since I really fell out of favor with the Labour Party, was what can I do locally? What can I donate to? Who can I help? You know, I give money like all the time to, you know, like if I just see people in my local area who are like struggling for this and struggling for that, I'm just like, I'll just bang them some money, and I always do it anonymously because I don't want it. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't even really want to talk about it on here, but it's one of those things. Or like, there's bigger things that you can do in terms of like co-ops and stuff like that. And that's really what I'm looking at now. Like, that's the thing we should all be doing. If we all start locally and work outwards, we all did it, things would be better, wouldn't it? We don't necessarily need intervention from the absolute bell chiefs at Westminster.
yeah, that's very much in like, especially being internety people, I think there's times when you can do tangible action, like you can drive people to actions and you can share visibility. And like in terms of, I guess the education part, I don't think is unimportant. I think it's an important piece, but I don't think as a person who's creating and posting content, I don't think it gives you the same sort of lifeblood that you need as actually being physically present and doing things. And actually just being around people, like actually being enclosed in a space with people who feel the similar way as you. It's one of those things about like going to protests where people say like one of the purposes of going is to empower other protesters and keep showing people that they're not on their own in it, because it's much harder to fall into that sort of well of like ruminating and wallowing when I don't know, it's like you physically feel the presence, like you feel like the relief that you feel at physically being around those people. I think, I don't know, it does something that helps to kind of push you forward. But the just starting to actually do things tangibly. We've been reading Elite Capture as part of our guided learning in our Discord community, Work in Progress, being led by the wonderful Han Reed stuff. And the thing that is constantly sticking in my head from that book is the navigating what's worth spending your time on and what's kind of actually making it worse, what's legitimizing things that are already fucked up and what's actually helping and making progress. And the big thing is what you're doing redirecting attention, resource, or anything else from the elites to everybody else? Like, whatever you're doing on a small scale, on a big scale, is it actually in moving things from one place to another? And if it's not, then you need to start being really careful about whether or not you're just kind of building into something that's actually causing more harm than good. So I'm trying to kind of weigh up all of these little actions every day now as part of that. As like, is it actually basically Robin Hooding it? Is it stealing from the rich and giving to the poor? If so, do it.
Yeah. I think because we all live such unique lives as well, it's one of those things where you can understand a certain amount of what it is that you can do in a general sense. Of people will be like boycotting and divesting and changing things over or donating to this and going to that protest. But you have to break it down on a granular level for yourself. So you're like, here's the things I can do within my remit. These are the things like that I can get to. These are the things I can donate to. These are the things I can help with. And then it's also about making that assessment of what you can. And I've previously really sucked at this, and it's why I've quite literally driven myself mental, because I've been like, I can do that, and I've been absolutely exhausted. And making sure that you do build in, like, looking after yourself and also like people in your inner circle, because there's a lot of really scary stuff happening at the minute towards women, towards trans people, towards migrants. And I know people who are mixtures of all of those things all one alone. And I try and make special effort to just reach out to people and be like, you all right? How's it? You all right? What do you need anything? Because it's awful to say, but it does hit you a bit differently when it's someone you know as well. When it's a person that's actually telling you, like, yes, I'm going through this horrible thing, but it's not just something that you're reading about. So I think that becomes a part of your practice as well. Just being like, you all right? You okay?
It's yeah. That's a big thing. That's another thing. It's there've been loads of people talking about it recently, like that whole kind of idea of practicing what you preach. If you're talking online and following people and like engaging in all these communities where you're like very in support of all this stuff, but you're not checking in with the people in your real life who are affected by these things, you need. I'm thinking about Elite Capture again. I've got distracted and thinking about Elite Capture again. But they talked about the whole Flint, Michigan, Flint water crisis. And one of the aspects of the book that talked about the sort of performative politics versus like the tangible help people needed was in Flint, Michigan, people didn't need like the mic passing. They didn't need their voices uplifting. They needed clean water. And like people's like base needs, we need to like be looking out for each other and making sure that people are feeling supported like in your personal life, not just like flag waving and sort of performing it, right? And that's the sort of policy versus praxis side of principles versus praxis side of stuff as well. Which is also, it's also like it's something that you have to get yourself into the rhythm of. You have to be. It's very easy to shut yourself down and be chronically online. I assume it's easy for people because I find it so incredibly easy. Maybe it's not easy for everyone.
I think the other thing is as well is it's a double-edged sword because in a positive way, because swords can be positive and sharp on both sides. That is brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah. As I was saying it, I was like, just let it go. It's too late. You're explaining it now. Well done. But like,
two phrases. Sorry.
it is. But on one hand, you've got you've got the fact that you're helping people locally who otherwise would really struggle. But part of the reason people are so radical is because they're not having those needs met. So there's also the knock-on effect of trying to stop people from falling to this radicalism that's everywhere. And I think that's what's really important as well. Like, it's really, really difficult to do, but having an understanding, it's not sympathy, it's not forgiveness, and it's not saying it's okay, but having an understanding of the mechanisms of why people are as shit as they are right now. And I think when you realize that it's systemic failings in society that's made us all feel bad, it's just some people have gone absolutely off the deep end with it, then you understand that one of the ways that we're going to get back on track is by going out and doing this stuff that kind of meets people's base needs.
Mm. And it's like that chain now of like who people like taking in their own communities and like working with their own, like, as in, I feel like I'm sort of partly diverted, but I'm trying not to. It's a roundabout way around, which is weird. Again, I know I wouldn't normally do something like that, but the idea of like, a lot of the time I feel like when you get into the really online stuff, there's a lot of people saying like, you should do this, you shouldn't do this, you should do this, you shouldn't do this. There's rules for everything. But the problem with online content is that you don't always know who the audience is intended to be. So when you have people saying like, oh, you should reach out to all of these people who are like, I don't know, reform voters, that's not safe for everyone to do. But the people who it is safe for them to do, that like should be doing that. And then it's almost like a little sort of daisy chain through the sort of movement to pull people along and across into at least like a not completely insane space, but ideally to a radical space. Not that I think that they're the people we should be focusing on at the minute anyway. But it's that kind of the community. I think it's when we talk about like real life engaging with people. I know I've had people say to me like, well, I can't do that because of this reason or because of this reason. It's like, that's okay. Everybody has different parts that they need to play. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't go like putting yourself into danger because you feel like it's the thing that you have to do. I think the nice thing about what we're seeing more of at the minute is that people are stepping into specific roles for themselves and carving out like these areas that they are really strong at. And also just obviously being aware that there's a lot of people who've been doing a lot of this work and laying down the foundations for it for a very, very long time, who you can kind of follow along with and look up to.
I think that's the thing that a lot of us need because like I've said this a lot myself. I really don't want to be like a prominent person on like the left or in a left space or whatever. I don't want to be one of the people pushing things forward. I just want to be one of the people. I don't want to be one of the people pulling things forward. I want to be one of the people pushing. And that's because I understand that people like me, besides my sexuality, people like me we've had the microphone for since time immemorial. I just don't think it should be someone that looks like me and that has had the experiences I've had. It should really be other people who really understand the failures of the way that we live now and who can speak to how it could be better. But I'm just like, just ignore me. I'm just here to pass on the message and I just want to help a little bit. I really don't want to be one of those people who leads a movement because I don't think it's fair. Yeah? Does that make sense?
I thought at the beginning when you said, aside from my sexuality, people like me, I misunderstood the phrasing of the sentence. I thought you were saying that aside from your sexuality, people like you. So I was just relieved.
No, they still don't like me.
so much of my sexuality, people like me.
Like, it's not that you're gay, you're just really annoying.
I'd say, if anything, the sexuality is if anything, that's helping. That's trying to counteract the
Yeah.
the insufferability. I'm so sorry.
Well, anyway, it's been lovely to have this call with you. Bye.
I'm still sour about the arm recognition. That's my good arm as well.
It's great.
It doesn't actually change in terms of. I don't know if there's supposed to be a different muscle on either side.
Yes, that's your bicep and that's your tricep. Yeah.
That's something that you could be using as a force for good, to be honest, though, because we do need more, I think, UK political people doing thirst traps. And you did that one where you didn't have your top on because you were doing the laundry and people loved that.
Oh, it used to happen all the time when I was a bit more of a twink. Like, I'd occasionally do a video while I was, like, changing or something, and all the comments would be like, oh, no, no. And I'd be like, you're all weird. Stop it. You're meant to know better than this. Stop it. Oh, my God, guys. Stop. Oh, my God. Just whipping the decolletage out, and it turns out that there's just a hammer and sickle there.
This is so annoying. Well, I did that one video in shorts and I'm never doing it again. I wore shorts once in a TikTok and people, like, followers that I've known and loved, and I still do know and love, were immediately like, pins are out. There's the legs. And I was like, what are you doing? I didn't know that this was a thing that I didn't know that this was something that was ever, I didn't know we had potential for this in our dynamic. But as soon as I got the pins out, everybody went crazy, and I can't do it because it's more scary. So I think you're going to.
That's the thing.
I also don't have the physique, frankly.
That's the thing, mate. We need more.
The only thing that saves.
We need more sexy leftists because, like, cynically, that's like, if it's a sexy person saying it, people are more likely to listen to it.
I think at the right angle, I still feel like I look quite haggard, but I think at the right angle, I can, like, give face and be like, do crime. But I don't think I haven't got it's more about the soft skills for me, really, than the physique part.
Go on, give us a blue steel. I'll see it, go on. Are you trying to convince me to buy timeshares? Why does that matter?
It's a better angle.
I don't know any of this stuff. I've just got lights pointing at me from every angle, so you can't see the shadows on my face.
The glasses make it harder because every time I turn into any kind of light, I get, like, the anime eyes. Makes it really hard to, like, try and do any kind of smizing when you've just got little anime eyes.
Sometimes when I'm at work, if I have to wear my glasses because I've got to read stuff, I purposely, like, move so I get the anime eyes, and I sit there and see how long it is that I can stay still to have the anime eyes, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, "So, David, what do you think of this?" And I'm like, it's really, it's brilliant, yeah, it's great.
Staring directly into a light source.
like a moth, like a leftist moth.
Actually, it did hurt my eyes a little bit there. But yeah, so that's what I've got to offer.
I used to practice fake smiling all the time because one side of my smile goes straight up and the other one's like a cupid bow smile. So I used to practice fake smiling, but I looked a little bit like Phoebe Halliwell from Charmed. Look like a killer. I look like a natural killer.
Looks like, is it? That didn't look like that, did it? Otherwise, we're going to have to remove it.
Well, it's staying in there.
I can't do it. I've got a really wonky face, so I can't, like, I can raise that eyebrow.
They say eyebrows are meant to be sisters, not twins. Mine are cousins, distant cousins.
Lost relatives. So I can raise that one, but then I also practiced smiling without my teeth because my teeth are horrible, or I thought they were horrible. I've grown to live with them, but I used to practice smiling, like, without teeth. So, like,
very demure.
oh no, teeth. I just feel like I've got a little secret.
Well, that does explain your username at least.
I don't think anyone's gonna listen to my. I'm not gonna lead a movement with that.
I mean, do you want to though? Do you want to lead a movement?
No, I don't. But I'm just really loud, and that's my fear. I realized the other day when people were like raiding activist houses, and it was the same week that my real job almost got declared a terrorist organization in the US, and I was a bit stressed. My pal was like, it's probably worth making sure that your TikTok is like fully private. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, I know that you've got a different username to your real name, but are you using like a separate device for it or anything that keeps it like fully? Is it connected to your email? And I was like, oh yeah. And she was like, I feel like maybe that's something that you should have checked on before you started making the content that you're making. And I was like, but I didn't respond. And then she was like, I feel like your silence here means that you haven't done any of the digital security that you should have done before you started doing this. And I was like, but that's the thing, because I've done that, and also because we've said things on the internet, and the internet's forever, now can't back out of the commitment to solidarity because it's been said.
I just fully own it. Like I'm just like, well, it's too late now, and if anything comes of it, I'm just gonna be like, sorry for being truthful, guys. It's one of the things. And would you want to though? Would you want to?
Not really, but I think just now being at the point of like, that's the thing. If I got interviewed and someone was like, have you said these things on social media? I'd be like, I do my little toothless smile. And then
is this you on this podcast saying something about murdering Keir Starmer?
I just I'll never tell. I'd be really coy about it, and they'd be like, all right, you're fine. Because I'm a white lady, so it'd be okay. I'd be like,
exactly. That's just it. They'll be like, correct answer. We like your moxie. We're gonna hire you anyway.
I'd be like, I was just kidding. Or was I?
And all I'm saying is, I'm not going to do anything to Keir Starmer. But if I came across him being ravaged in the woods by a wolf, the most I'd do is add a lemon garnish, and that's about it.
Ravaged.
Ravaged, ravined by wolves. You gave us some cracked black pepper, sec.
Okay. Ravaged is okay. I've forgotten. I forgot that there was.
Ravaged has multiple contexts. Just you come across Keir Starmer and a bunch of fairies in the woods, and I'm like, oh, sorry, excuse me. Didn't know this clearing was taken.
I have once again misunderstood. I'd misunderstood what I thought. I completely forgot that was what the term ravaged was. Right. Okay. So that's all. Those are quite a lot of different things that are happening at the minute that are quite stressful. But what we talked about, things that like broadly want to be doing to like feel like actually be doing something more effectively, or appreciating the things that like basically spending more headspace on the actual progress and the things that are being done, as opposed to just sort of panicking and ruminating on it. Is there anything that is like, do you have anything that would help anyone?
Just, you know what, if you're prone to doing what I've been doing until I took a hold of it, if you just doom scroll and it makes you feel terrible, just get your ass out, like go to your queer spaces and donate and volunteer for events, help people that you meet there, listen to their stories, go to the protests, like actually go outside and do things. Because even though that sounds condescending, I know that it sounds like it's like, oh, just sitting on the internet. I get that some people have no choice, and that also some people just don't think that you can do that. You can just go out and do stuff. Go and there's all manner of like anti-fascist social media things. Just Google your local anti-fascist chapter and see if there's things you can do to help.
Yeah, I was going to say, just do stuff, even if it's not like, even if it's not actually physically going out, like even if it's doing things like, what days, like 6 minutes to like sign like 70 petitions. Like, and I know they're just petitions, but there's a lot of things that you can do in terms of like connecting with people. One of the biggest things for people like the Freedom Flotilla coalition, one of the things that they ask as like a action to support them is to contribute, is to like try and publish an article in like a local paper about what they're doing, or write a piece and submit it to a site. Like actually old school writing an article yourself and submitting it to like smaller online publications and things like that, creating content about the specific causes that they're um and challenges that they're dealing with as well, as opposed to like it doesn't have to be out and about. But I think you're right. That's the only thing I've got at the minute in my head, which is why we're actually recording now, because this is something that was been sitting since
Last November.
November. And
Yeah.
the hand yesterday got to a point. I was like, we need to actually just start doing that. And then a lot of other things that I'm kind of working on at the minute with people, like I just need to just do it instead of like panicking about not having done it and feeling useless. And I think we all feel useless a lot of the time because functionally we are essentially useless in a lot of situations. There's a lot of things we can't actually do. But
I thought there was going to be more, but you were just like, we're useless.
no, we are. But we are. Like in a lot of situations we are, because we're individual human people trying to like absorb the knowledge and awareness of everybody else on Earth currently in a way that no other generation has ever had to before us. Like it's a lot. We haven't adapted. We're like moths that think that the lights are the moon. I think that's how it works.
I think that's another thing as well that I will say is like the second someone starts to play the like I'm the most activist person in the universe game with you, like you'll know the difference between someone who's like, oh yeah, I do all this stuff and that's great, and someone who's like accusatorily telling you what they do to like put you down. The moment someone's like that, just realize that they're a knob and like there's no point in competing about like you're never going to get an award for being the most activist ever. So just do what you can and don't fret when you might occasionally come across a knobhead.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when people are sort of getting into it. I think the other side with that as well is like you're not going to get a prize for being the most activist. And like you're not the person who's trying to be the most activist is a pain in the arse. But also when you go into these sorts of spaces, if you are new to them, if you're new to understanding them, you may not immediately get everybody giving you hugs and congratulations for starting to take part.
Yeah, if that's what you expect when you go, then you're going to be bitterly disappointed, but you're also going for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're functionally useless.
And now about our today's sponsor, BetterHelp.
Oh, the bastard!
Do you feel useless?
They're all over TikTok at the minute. Have you seen them?
Yeah, yeah, that the guy that's like, I'm celebrating going back to therapy, and I'm like, I get where you're coming from, but also, how about we just don't need to go back to therapy? But then we can't help it because of all of the factors. Yeah,
BetterHelp is really pissing me off with it because their whole thing was that they had people who just weren't therapists using it, like as therapists. So, but then now they've also got these ads. Did you see the ones that were like, "This is what a panic attack feels like," and I was like, "Well, now I'm really stressed." And then there's another one that's like, "Do you have trauma? Like, have you forgotten trauma from childhood?" And I was like,
Oh, I have to not interested those. Yeah, I'm like, let's just leave that stone unturned, babes. I'm fine with keeping my childhood trauma inside. Yeah, like I'm not. How how healthy do you think I can get in the few years remaining? Leave me alone. Leave me to cultivate my child misery alone. But do you know what you know what the scary thing that I saw yesterday was? Oh, sorry, it was today actually. There's a guy explaining that some people are using ChatGPT as a therapist. The problem is ChatGPT is like programmed to be affirmative. So if you've got like delusions, he was showing an example and he was like, oh, I think this celebrity loves me, and they're leaving me messages in their songs. And at first, ChatGPT was like, oh, that's probably not true, and you should ring people and get help. And then they were like, no, no, this celebrity definitely knows who I am and is leaving me messages in the music. And ChatGPT was like, oh, okay, well, this is what you should do then. And it's like, okay, that's not good.
Makes me incredibly nervous. That's what I mean. It's like that Gemini ad that's like, now we're talking. To who? To your phone? To your machine learning AI for Google Gemini? That's weird. That's a weird thing. Now we're talking. We were talking.
There is one of my colleagues told me that there is a fully AI podcast, and he like because we were on a screen call, and he showed me a clip of it, and it was like, yeah, Deborah, I think that's really fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. No problem, Donald. I am really excited to do that. And I was like, who's going to sit and listen to this staccato fucking robot bullshit? What the fuck is this?
Is it going to get more views than us?
I mean, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the mistakes. You're paying for the errors. You're paying to be told that you're useless. Like that's what you're here for. How are you gonna get this quality with AI?
People, that's real.
Yeah,
That's
like
real.
this is, yeah. Whoa, this is like authentic.
Real?
Like,
Oh, fuck, that's real.
what did you all fuck at then?
Everything. I knocked the desk, I knocked the monitor, and 2 lamps.
Maybe AI should replace me.
No, it won't. It won't do it because we're too fun. We're lovable scamps. And if one thing AI will never have, it's a roguish attitude. Yes, it's whimsy.
What if we wake up tomorrow and the news is like AI perfects whimsy? Yeah, that's it.
I swear, I'll be done.
You've been listening to a podcast put together by 2 extremely neurodiverse people over several pieces of technology that was definitely against us. And speaking of terrible technology, you should follow us on our social media, which we will no doubt put beautiful displays up here and over here and all around the screen. Us playing some beautiful outro music, no doubt, because we are technological wizards. Thank you, and see you again soon.
Oh, shit!